Okay, hey everybody. 1 second. Bring the music. Okay, and tonight I am going to be doing another one of my Star Trek wheel games here. So I have 13 games, old Star Trek games that are on the wheel. And we can bring that wheel right up here in the center. I'm going to spin from it. I will say, right now, the way I kind of figured this out before was that... I might drop this. We can respin the wheel and switch to a different game if I get a gift or a sub or whatever. I'm not sure I want to stick with that. If there's something else good that maybe happens, maybe we'll just do it then. We'll figure it out. I am still new at this streaming stuff. I am doing my best. So if there is maybe a bit of constructive feedback, I would appreciate it. But hey, we'll get there. We're just having fun. So let's go ahead and spin the wheel and see what we start with tonight. Okay, so it looks like we are starting with the Starfleet Academy that's on the SNES, which is a different game than the one that was on the PC. Let me go ahead and get that started here. Not that quite yet. Okay. That up in the corner. Side. For those who are curious, I am fairly knowledgeable about Star Trek. I ran a Star Trek role-playing game for 5 years. I've watched all of this series, except some episodes of the most. And I've also read several of the novels. Wonderful works of fiction they are. Some are actually good, but yeah. Okay. Up. So, the Starfleet Academy game on the SNES is actually a totally different game than the one that was on the computer. The one on the PC had the actors in it. It had Shatner, it had Walter Koenig, it had I think it also had George Takei. One on the SES clearly does not have those people. Graphics aren't good enough to really show them very well. The audio is not going to really get their voices. But it does have the SNES's best attempt at 3D graphics. And remember, this is before they had the Super FX chip. Look at that. Look at these graphics. Oh my god, I love it. Now, for those who are curious, I am playing this not actually with a controller. I have everything set up to go ahead on this, just on the keypad of this keyboard. I might have seen that beginning also. That's where we have the two characters I think we can choose, either the male or the female. Which one was talking in which section there? Great question. This game, one of the other things I want to know before we get too far here is it has the simulator. So this is where our mission is always one of peace. Starfleet realizes the potential of, who cares? Where you can pick these different settings, or these different missions. Some of them are combat training, two-player training. You can actually do this with 2 players. You pick just a different combat encounter of some kind. You pick the ships on both sides, great, whatever. Then it also has some missions, or from various movies. We have not only the episode Balance of Terror, but then we have Wrath of Khan, Star Trek 2, and Undiscovered Country, Star Trek 6. We also changed the skill level. Average, Advanced, Legend. Probably stick with average. Now, the other funny thing I want to show off here is that this game has SNES graphics for the various bridges you're on. You are always looking at the characters on your bridge. And it turns out they also program not just the Starfleet Academy graphics, but also a few others. So, here's your ship. And we have, this is original series. We have Constitution, Miranda, Oberth. Then we have the others, Klingon, Romulan. And so, as it turns out, if we pick one of these other ships, we get the opponent, let's say it's an Oberth. We get a bridge that looks like it's from one of those other peoples. So here, we got the Klingons manning their bridge stations here. We have a slightly different radar. Well, okay, alright, hang on. Oh, there we go. Oh, look at these 3D graphics. This is amazing. Guys, this was really neat in the day. I hope you realize that. Anyway, I kind of wanted to show that off. That it just has also a Romulan bridge you can get into. So we can go ahead and let this first scene go, and we can watch the two cadets chatter with each other for a bit. Yeah, this is the Super Nintendo doing its best with 3D graphics. It's really, I think, only one or maybe two objects at a time. Well, last leg of the trip. Nervous? You never told me why you applied to the Academy. I wanted a chance to see part of the galaxy. What about you? My father was in Starfleet. I always wanted to join. He died during an attack by a rogue Klingon bird of prey. His ship was on a survey mission. I know he always wanted to. I'm sure he would have been proud. Hey, just remember, our adventure just beginning. This stuff is so silly, but I love it. Okay. Here we get our credits. Gender? Only 2 options. Sorry. And then, for some reason, we get a selection of names to choose between. 4, 5? Paula, Yolanda, Helen, Kim, Pauline. 6. Oh, let's go... I don't know. Helen, Urquan, Solomon. Oh, and we're always human. Saw the pictures. Yeah, Helen, Urquan. Great. And now, this is where we are kind of in the various days at Starfleet Academy. So we have class, we have the missions, we have chatter with the other students, we have... I didn't actually try this before I did this, I'm just doing this all from memory. Go from these left to right, I think. What is this? The bed? Okay, yeah, this is just our bed. So this is our save over here. Yeah, we can look up various information on the people in the story. The Century Colony. We never hear that much about Alpha Centauri in Star Trek. These are going to be all our crew members of our little Starfleet Academy. So this is one of the Starfleet Academy things where we are in command. And the teacher. Okay. They'll even give us information about various races from the original series. Species, perhaps, including the Organians, the ones who forced peace on everybody. And Shuri, I'm not familiar. Rough gray skin and horny protrusion. I don't remember them being from an episode. Maybe it's just for the game. Governments, yeah. We have the Gorn in this one. We didn't get enough Gorn. Okay. So. We sleep to get the password, and that's how we continue the game. Sorry, there's no battery in the console or in the cartridge, so you can't save. You just have to remember your password. Then we have the classes. So this is where, yeah, we get a transcript to tell how well we are doing. The GPA, I think, is just a function of how we do on the missions. And then we also we listen to the commander, the speaker here, telling us exactly what we need to know for the next mission. Here it's just red alert. Red alert must be sounded whenever your ship enters an emergency situation. It informs the crew that they must prepare for a crisis. This is kind of loud. Maybe I should turn this down slightly. Okay. Red alert raises shields and readies the weapons system. Yellow alert is used when you wish to raise shields but leave weapon system powered down. When encountering an uncertain situation, yellow alert will keep you at a highly ready state without presenting a hostile intention. Condition green is normal running status. Be warned, going into a hazardous situation at condition green is extremely foolhardy and will probably cost you. Good to know. And we also have our chatter with the other students. Oh, pictures. If Colin, I'll be running the helm and also your officer. And we say, great, looking forward to working with you. I read your performance file. You are a very capable helmsman. That should give us a few points on our grade. Good stuff. With me along, we'll be sure to get points with style anyway. Elliot? Yes? I wanted to introduce myself. You can introduce yourself by proving your command ability to me in the simulator. I have no time for idle chatter. Man? Correct? Welcome to the simulations. I am Sturek, son of Stoon. Good classic Vulcan name. I understand that Vulcans make the best science officer. There is statistical data to support that statement, but I prefer to be judged on my own merits. Now, a Vulcan science officer, who knew? Have our non-Vulcan alien. My name is Van de Megia. I understand you will be our captain during your missions. I will be your communications officer. Suitable place for a female bridge. Excellent. I'm already looking forward to our first. Yes, I'm sure we'll be successful. Last, Brady. Hi, sir. I'm Robin, your engineer. Robin, are you looking forward to our first? Nervous is more like it. I hope we can get through. No problem, Robin. Always easy. Hope. And then we can also talk to the lounge host. Just call me Jones. What have you got, Jones? We don't serve alcohol here. I do like to make beverages. I'll have to get you to try some. All root beer in the Federation. And now we can go to the mission. So our mission is always one of peace. Starfleet realizes the potential of possible conflict. Simulator. Oh no, this is just the simulator. Okay. We have to go back to... This does the mission. Okay. They want us to do the basic combat mission. Welcome, cadets, to the Mark IV Oberth class training simulator. You have entered basic training mode and will practice several simple drills to help you become familiar with basic starship operation. Mission 1, basic sublight navigation. Hey, we're in the tutorial of the game. This mission will focus on maneuvering your ship in a single sector of space. You'll be required to fly to close range to form market buoy. You will be notified when you have reached each buoy. Be careful. Remember that collisions in space can destroy your vessel. Do not collide with buoy. So, L and R give us our rotation. And we are steering entirely with the D-pad here. Actually, right, I think this is the X button that is increasing throttle. Reach buoy 1. So that's red onto yellow. And B decreases the throttle. Oh, including going into reverse. Now the radar is a top-down with arrows pointing up or down, indicating if they're actually above or below us from that kind of two-dimensional angle. Or we have done red and All that's left is yellow. There, we did it. Wow. Now let's try using the navigation system to warp to another sector of space. Navigate to sector 012.021, identified as Beta. Okay. This button, we get our list of stations. Station. And warp. Using the tractor beam sector, there's a buoy and a starbase. Pick up the buoy with the tractor beam, drop it off near the starbase. Once you have completed the mission, use the hail option under communications. Contact the starbase. We turn on the tractor beam. Oh, still out of range. Okay. Nailed it. Oh! Okay. Oh, come on. It's okay, we'll get it. So, this game has the levels. I think you have 4 missions for each year of your class. And also at each year, you're at a different starship. So we start off with the O'Birth, of course, all recognized from Star Trek II. And freshman is there. Sophomore takes us to the Miranda. Junior takes us to Constitution, and I believe at C we're in the Excelsior. So let's find out what our first mission is. I do have that one on the list. Yes, so here, if you want to see what all is on the list, there you go. That should be. So that is the full list. So I have 25th Anniversary, the versions on both the NES and the PC, which are entirely different games. And all of this other fun stuff, including Elite Force, the first-person shooter, Armada, the little tactical starship control thing, where you're in a little warp ship thing. Some other weird stuff I'd never touched before. That includes Hidden Evil. Now, most of these are next-gen, because that's when video games are coming. Many of them are original series. And then one of them, Crossroads of Time, is Deep Space Nine. Greetings, cadets. I am Commander Alex Rotherot. I will be your instructor for most of the training. Your first series of missions will take place on our Mark IV Oberth-class science vessel simulator. This simulator will be known as the USS Banting. Today's mission will involve the removal of a highly radioactive object about to crash on the planet. If it hits the planet's atmosphere, all life will be threatened. Your orders are to proceed to Beta 2 and find the object. Once you have located it, use your tractor beam to pull it a safe distance away from the planet and destroy it with your weapons. Return to Starbase 12 after the mission is complete. Where did the radioactive object come from? That information is not currently available, but we believe it may be an old abandoned probe or derelict spacecraft. When will we know when we're far enough to safely detonate it? Your science officer will inform you. If you believe we will have any trouble finding it before it gets... It should be easy to spot because of its wideband radiation signature. Check your short-range sensors when you near the planet. Okay. I might do a little save here. Okay. Okay, go back to communication. Oh, and our helmsman is Orion. I didn't realize that. Okay. And it should show up on our sensors when we get close. Watch this 3D planet appear. Watch how awesome this is. I think I see it. That planet! It has multiple polygons. Ah, those were the days. Oh! Should put the shields up, probably. Okay. One more time. It is possible to fail out, and then you have to repeat everything anyway, so... And QR also, for what it's worth, sub-gift to Switch game is the first thing I came up with. It's possible we find something else that likes more. Again, I like more. I'm still kind of figuring out how all this streams. Okay, thank you. Okay, we have it. Now just fly away. I can't go faster than half. Go to red alert to arm our weapons. Hey, Grimmeth. We have completed the first mission of Starfleet Academy on the SNES. I got everyone a lethal radiation dose once, so it's been mixed as to whether or not the starship's been safe. Now I believe we have to go back to the base every time. Have to. Yeah, mission accomplished. 100%. So it is possible to get less than a done, or to get something between a done all the way and done not all the way. There are some choices we can make that might determine what happens for our score. Yeah, it's good that I turned down the Academy music. So we are at the next week, semester. Oh, and we have to go rest. We get a new password. No saving, no battery in the cartridge. Yeah, we are doing okay. A good starship captain never loses his cool. One must always remain in control of one's emotion. This is more often than not an indication of a good starship captain. Master your rage, or your rage will be your master. Thanks. Yeah. Oh. Is there more I need to be doing? Yeah, this is a weird one. Maybe we need to stop by and chat with everybody after. Okay. So we're at 102. And again, each year I believe is 4 missions, and there are 4 years because of college. Good morning, cadets. 3 weeks ago, Starfleet lost contact with the USS Kitty Hawk. The Kitty Hawk was in unexplored space at the time of its last communication. Your mission is to find the Kitty Hawk and then return to Starbase 14. The Kitty Hawk was last seen in Sector 015, Mark 022. I think I should be saying Mark. You should start your search there. Once again, you will be in command of the USS Banting. Good luck, cadets. We can ask questions. What type of vessel? A Miranda-class light cruiser. Anything known about the sector? Not much. There is some evidence of inhabited civilizations. Good when civilizations are inhabited. You can count on us, sir. Let's hope so, cadet. Okay. You can count on Cadet Urquan. We are on the path of now and forever. Captain, a Starfleet message buoy is close to the planet. We should go to close range and tractor it into our hold. Not show up on the short range, but find it because it's big. I love these 3D planets. Better than the Eternal Doctrine. The Path of Now and Forever offers more closure. Yeah, Grimmeth, are you familiar with Star Control 2? Have you ever played that? Short-range sensors reveal signs of heavy orbital bombardment with nuclear weapons. The planet's atmosphere appears to have been burned away in the atomic fire. That does not affect our mission at all. And I'm kidding, Grimmeth, I know. Up things in the computer on the fly. Okay, and I think we got the message, but it... I did tractor it in. Maybe I missed something. I think we just go to the next one. Starfleet message buoy is mixed in some debris. We should go to close range and tractor it into our hold. Yeah. Okay. But we can also scale sensor. Because we have difficulty, yeah, there's not a lot of room for that radar. So, port? Okay. Video games. Sensors indicate that there is the wreckage of a Federation light cruiser up ahead. No sign of life forms or escape pods. There is a message buoy near. There's an unidentified ship approaching. Okay. The message buoy says the Kitty Hawk was attacked by a vessel. They succeeded in destroying the alien craft, but the Kitty Hawk suffered a hit to her engines, which caused the antimatter containment field to collapse and explode. The crew managed to make it into the escape pods and are heading towards Sector 0170. Now remember, they say they were struck by an unknown vessel, and that the lecture was about how we need to maintain our cool. Go to condition red, or if we go to red alert, I think that might trigger something. Go to yellow alert and raise the shields. That's probably a good middle ground. Let's hail them. Ate, Captain on. Okay, and now we have choices for what to say to them, including retreat now, yeah, return the crew now. We're looking for missing escape pods. Can you give us a hand? This is the USS Banting of the United Federation of Planets. Please identify yourselves. Yeah, angry. So we go, please help. Formal. We hate you. Probably start with a formal. We are the Hecate. This is our space. You should leave at once. There are many enemies. Okay. And they went to, I believe, the other sector that actually has stuff in it. Yeah, good talk. Still have our shields up. Protect an escape pod, that's cool. Cover the escape pod. Thanks, bro. Okay. Guessing the escape pod is the small one on the right. Get to it maybe as fast as we can. Oxid's happy to see us. We're not hailing the other one. We can't pick who to hail. Okay, we have the pod. Great. Can we now hail these other people? Yeah, the escape pod went to another sector, and to move between sectors, we have to go to warp. So did the escape pod... Questions. Really just aren't. Okay. Oh, what are we doing? On sensors, except for that other ship. So I do know a fair bit about this lore, as embarrassing as it is. Escape pods tend not to be warp, because warp requires a full, like, drive of some kind. Shuttlecraft, which are launched from full vessels, have warp speed. Sometimes in the shows we see them traveling at impulse. Don't worry about it. But yeah, escape pods are typically just pods. Breathe. Maybe go to a planetary surface. I think we're done here. Oh. They're not answering or anything. We don't have anything else to do except for maybe trigger a fight. Fights are bad. See if that was the right decision. Gotta hail. Starbase 14 on screen, and we can say we're continuing. No escape pod can travel so fast. 100%. Oh, you're penalized for not thoroughly investigating the area. You only succeeded by blind luck, not by any reasoning power. Oh, I didn't get. I got 75%. Okay. That's fine. I still graduate with 75%. C's get degrees. Now, afterwards we talk to everybody? Yeah, okay. So it is left to right down there. Are you ready for an evening of entertainment? You've got to study. Change your mind, come back, you might enjoy yourself. Good talk. Hi, what can I get you? How about a mint tea? Look, Kirk makes a lot of profit off of blind luck. So, one mint tea coming up. Great. That's what we have, mint. I just have lemon tea. Fine. Get our password. I can save. Current GPA 100. Never. Space is very big. You want to keep a close eye on your long-range sensors, and don't forget to consult a science officer for advice or sensor scanning. Mission success. Thanks. 103. Your third simulator mission will involve the rescue of the freighter Moray. It is under attack from Venturi renegades near the Eridanes system. You are the only starship near the sector that has any chance of rescuing it. How many Venturi ships are involved? One, possibly two ships. Long-range sensor readings are sketchy at this point. How well armed is the Moray? The Moray is armed with two Type 4 phaser arrays. It might hold off the Venturi for a while, but it's no match for them. So they're sending in a science vessel for backup. Awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and rate. Here we go. What do we have? Why asteroids have actinide compounds which are interfering with sensors. Of course. Stations. Moray freighter, this is the USS Banting. We understand you are under attack by Venturi ships. Can we be of assistance? Banting, thank you for answering our distress signal. Venturi have retreated. It is strange. We were beaten, shields down, blinded, and then they fled to deep. We have completed adequate repairs so that we can tell it to complete our delivery. Understood, Moray. We will stay in the area to make sure the sector is clear of further Venturi interference. Banting out. Looks like... I think these are asteroid fields going up on our... But then right... They actually interfere with our ability to scan and see if anybody's in there. Star Trek, right? There's a problem with this. Picking up a Venturi ship hiding among an asteroid. Hey, who'da thunk? And it's shooting. We're live. Paul is already at 50%. Yeah, we're getting wasted. I'm bad at this. Okay. Yeah. That hold together. I know, this is elite harmless. This isn't what I do. we're also in a science vessel. I don't... Well, is that 10%? Sensors. That's what I needed. Okay. During the course of your mission, your ship was lost. That is an automatic failing grade. You are dismissed. We probably should have just left. Yeah, it's good that he told us. So let's try that again. That's some wild news. You still passed. Gotcha. Yeah. If there's one thing we know about the teachers at Starfleet Academy, it's that big jokes. Okay, let's see if I get better at fighting, and if not this time, when we get down to hull 25, 10%, I'll just off. Arm your weapons. Arming your weapons helps. For what it's worth, when I rented this also, I never owned it. I always had trouble, even with my stupid little kid reflexes, getting through some of the toughest fights. Like, I never was able to finish a couple of them. I think I finished the game. Okay, I went to Kaizella. Alright, we rammed them. We were faster than them, so we just hit them. Sensors detect that the Venturi vessel was carrying prepared antimatter charges, a most dangerous and illegal cargo. What would the Venturi be doing with those? Surely they know that kind of weapon is banned by the Federation. Well, stand down yellow alert, and go to where the Moray just went. How's it going? Everything cool? Another one. Yeah, okay. Well, good thing my ship is in good shape. Yeah, okay. Everything that does something is fine. We don't need hull. Hold your breath. How is everything still hitting? Okay. If you ever wonder if you see my other streams, you wonder why I don't play the shooting stuff on Elite. I'm just naturally bad at it. Let's give this another shot. This is not that complicated a game. And maybe I can dodge the shots. No, they'll still... Nope, that's the freighter. Don't shoot the freighter. Might do another accidental ramming. Yeah, there must be another cadet who's sabotaging various parts of the... Some jerk. Okay, well, we did another ram. How's everything doing? I bet you get our hull going. The bridge is fine, yeah. Come on, how long do you take? Ramming speed every time. Take your time, don't you, man? Alright. Let's see if we can give them time to repair. How's it going? Good? Yeah? Or... No. What? Look, I don't think... Okay. Alright. An engineering sim mission, yeah. Can you repair this piece of crap that this idiot rammed a random other ship with? Hard to say. I wonder if we can kill enough time here that means we'll fail the mission happening in the other sector. Expect not. Oh yeah, look how much faster this is. Yeah. Good captaining. Make it the hull. The hull repair appears to be much slower. Okay, well... Might just call it there. A different save just to lift everything up. Great frigate on intercept course. We hail first because we're the good guys. Light them up. How the heck? Serpentine, serpentine. Oh, that's combat mode. I'm trying not to ram. If I ram again, I'm pretty sure that I'll just... looked like it must have been a RAM, but Super Nintendo. Come on. Come on. Come to Queen. These 3D graphics, though, huh? Really something. Okay, we got him. Isel Station report everything is fine. And sure you're up to something. Oh, thanks, man. Are we at all? I'll never get. Boy, long range and medium range must be an order of magnitude apart. Okay. Queen of the Academy, that's me. So, it turns out those antimatter charges must have been planted on the freighter. And maybe if we had scanned the freighter, we would have figured that out. But we're stupid. So. Well, let's see what grade that is. Mission accomplished. 0%. Okay. Let us read that last bit. There is... Okay, so we do have to do a sensor sweep, and that will detect whatever we need to see in the area. Good to know. We should do those regularly. Captain, sensors indicate an antimatter explosive charge secured on the freighter's hull. It has a proximity fuse that will cause it to explode when it docks with Kaizella output. Contact the Moria immediately. Yes, sir. A demolition... Be on our toes. Starfleet. Oh, I already began. Okay. Okay. Come on. Okay. Nothing. If I pressed that the other time after we blew it up the first time, we would have gotten into it. Station reports everything is fine. Car. Back out to the correct range. We can probably just do. Head in that direction, and the docking will probably happen before we get anywhere. Yeah, great. Docking complete. All's good. One other note, for what it's worth. This, the Starbase commander, so he is Efrosian. They're a group of people that include the President of the Federation in Star Trek VI. It is supposed to be that many of them are blind, but it's never really directly stated in the material, except for one guy having no irises, no contact lenses at the beginning of Star Trek 4. And then they never really do anything in canon. There's a bunch of stuff in beta, but who cares? Mission accomplished. 100%. Congratulations, you discovered the Venturia's explosive device that was planted on the hull of the Moray. First try, that's right. Venturi planned to destroy Kaizella's station with an unsuspecting freighter. Good job on correctly interpreting the clue. Or dismissed. So we gotta be on the eye for these little things that they'll get us for. Be on the eye, is that a phrase? Dr. Collin, how's it going now? Yeah. I'll have to come up with a more embarrassing nickname for it. What are you doing here? Says Elliot. I wanted to talk about the mission. Wrong, I would rather not discuss the past. I've always found it rather pointless. Okay, correct. I did not expect the last simulation to be as challenging as it was. Starfleet Academy doesn't. Yeah. Another mission is over. Good commentary. For what it's worth, Megia on the far left here is Andorian. There was an episode of Next Gen where they were stated to have 4 people involved in a wedding. This was interpreted in many sources to mean that there were actually 4 Andorian genders, or perhaps even physical sexes. That was then worked out in a number of novels by Deep Space Nine, showing that they had the 4, and all 4 of them were correct to reproduce, and that was actually an issue to reproduce because then that makes it much more complicated and difficult, yada yada yada. Brady. Hi sir, was I good enough for you on that last mission? Never speak up, hardly ever notice you. Get up! Really? I was worried I kept getting in the way. Great. Thanks, Brady. I have some Arcturan root water if you'd like to try something new. Another minty notes. Hi. Good stuff. Super exciting. There's our next password. Please remember it. Yeah, we really put that engineer through his paces. And he says, you know, we say, I didn't know you were there. Hey, Chef. Ellen Urquan, yeah. Many people think that these simulations are always combat. If you go into a situation that requires diplomacy and you expect a fight, you won't get very far in Starfleet. Hey Chef, it's going okay. We're doing my Starfleet, or my Star Trek wheel, where I have 13 games on here to pick from, so I have it so if you sub, as the camera does not go that far, sub or gift, we can spin the wheel again. It says, oh, I forgot, it didn't update. Hold on 1 second. Okay. I I added one. There are 13. So, then we can spin the wheel again and switch to a different game. I don't know if sub or gift is actually going to happen often enough, the actual thing, but we'll figure it out. We try to give you a lot of combat training, but also want you to consider multiple solutions. Diplomacy must come first. Use combat only. There is no other option. Even though I was almost immediately red alert in the last mission. Yeah, this is Starfleet Academy on the Super Nintendo, which is very different from the Starfleet Academy that was on the Mission 104. Today's mission is scientific. For a science vessel, really. You will be studying the Hanab protostar, which has some unusual radiation burn. You are to proceed to the protostar and monitor the radiation. Return to Starbase 13 when you have the data. Boy, that sounds easy, doesn't it? How dangerous are the radiation burns? Your shields will not protect you. Keep a safe distance. Listen to your science officer for radiation. Anything else unusual in Hanab's system? We have sent unmanned probes, and so far none have returned. They were probably damaged by the unusual radiation bursts, but be prepared for other possibilities. Is it similar to the last Star Trek I played? So I ended the last session with Star Trek, is it Futures Past, another SNES game? Which is mostly away team missions where you're controlling individuals, walking them around an isometric thing. So no, it is very different. These are mostly pretty different games. I thought it was a good collection of stuff. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. And pause. So if all we're doing is getting science, what could be the problem? Well, shields up, level alert. Looks a little odd for a star, doesn't it? Captain, I'm picking up a high-energy subspace signal generated from near the protostar. That could be a natural phenomena. What is it? As illogical as it seems, there appears to be some kind of ship caught in the gravitational field of the protostar. I am not sure how they could survive with that high of a radiation level, but the craft is some kind of signal in the Ajman sector. I do not believe the signal can get through. This is extremely unusual, Captain. I suggest we investigate further. So if I ask for the status report, he'll... Yeah, who is being signaled to? Ajman sector. Yeah, okay. We can... Their sensors. I am scanning the vessel. There are 212 life forms aboard. The ship is armed with weapons similar to disruptors, warp capable, using a matter-antimatter power system similar to Federation vessels. The hull is comprised of Ventarium deposits. Well, let's say hey. Sure, the ship is returning our hail. These guys again. Greetings, I am Topak of the Hycombia Confederation. I like his background. What do we have? This one is kind of hostile. Oh, we got... Hang on. Right. So, this is our hostile response. Yeah, we found Tupac. May we be of assistance? Yeah, withdraw at once or we'll be required to defend ourselves is an interesting first communication. Give assistance. Thank you for your concern. We have lost a science ship that was studying the nearby protostar. Would be grateful for any help you can. We are on a similar mission. We found your ship caught in the gravity well of the protostar. Unfortunately, but the high level of radiation, we have to rescue it. The crew should be dead, but we picked up a distress signal. ship was outfitted with special shielding to withstand. There is limited time for their energy. Back, might be able to work together to rescue them. And indeed do that. Advancing to Topaka, the generation ship cannot withstand the radiation of the protostar. Our ship has been equipped with a shielding system to withstand the radiation. Unfortunately, we will not have enough power to tow our science ship. I believe we can boost your shields and follow you into the protostar if your ship can tractor beam our ship out. Approaching the star. And here I am save scumming. Okay. Sure, why not? Yellow alert shield on. Okay. We'll go for it. Note, this is the star. Even though it looks almost exactly like the planets we were looking at earlier, this is a star. Up the page. It's a protostar. How they're calling it here. Which I guess would make it... What is it? I come across those things all the time in a T-Tori. Not run into the star. Starships are bad at that, despite their name. Have the Hycomia ship in our tractor beam. You know, on Cool Stars, one of the discords I'm on, somebody posted a picture of from Elite Dangerous. They found a star that the game said was a Wolf-Rayet star, which are actually super hot, and for some reason the game thought it was 50 kelvins. It was totally black. We've reached a safe distance star to release our tractor. Hycomia science ship has been disengaged from the tractor beam. Hailing us, thank you, Captain. Rescue operation. On our return, I will recommend formal contact between. We'll look forward to fanting out. We did it, and I think that's all. There was discussion of ship is free of the protostar. During our rescue operation, I was able to perform tests of the protostar's radiation. I have some fascinating filed for later analysis. I think that's it. Back to base. We can hail this guy again, who may or may not be. And everybody has antimatter explosives. Oh god, my one weakness. Mission accomplished. And there we go. You not only rescued the alien ship, but also successfully initiated contact with a new race. Good job, cadets. You're dismissed. Nice. Call it. So what's new? Another day, another mission. Someday we'll look back on these missions fondly. Not today, but someday. What is it now? You aren't very friendly, Ken. You are very observant. Did you learn anything last mission? use tractor beams on protostars? I would have thought you would have learned that before. Stuff. Got our usual comedy routine with our Vulcan. Another mission is over. What do you think? Have to be careful. Non-combat missions. And Brady. Hi, sir. How's it going, Robin? Don't try Jones' punch. It's really the Starfleet poison resistant test. Hi, want some punch? Only if I want to visit sick bay. You've really got to tell Mr. Brady to keep his opinion. Another fun day at Starfleet Academy. One thing I wanted to see. Rigel 8. But yeah, human. Okay. So he's half human, half Orion. Alright. Now there's our Andorian and. There must be more than 4 missions per year. Robin Brady, yeah, who cares? The light cruiser is a general-purpose vessel introduced several years ago for survey and patrol work in Lord space. You will find it to be a sturdier ship than the Oberth class flying in this. Still in the Oberth, but they're telling us the Miranda's gonna rock. Venturi renegades are using the Ingama Nebula to escape Federation patrols. Are using special beacons to allow them to navigate. I haven't been drinking my. Nobody's doing hydrate. Okay. We want you to enter the nebula and disable these beacons. It sounds like there'll be some fighting. How will we disable the beacon? Fly close to each beacon and fire on it. Brain thoughts. Will the Venturi be in the nebula? It is possible. You should be prepared if they are. Is the nebula dangerous? In a nebula, your sensors are ineffective, shields are useless. I'd call that dangerous. Be careful. Problem, sir. I remember what it was like to be as young and confident as you are. Don't be overconfident. You'll make mistakes. So yeah, no shields in the nebula. As I say, sauce for the good. That get us? So we can't pick them up at all on our radar. We can just see them. Our eye sense. Alright. Well, weapons. Red alert. Hey, Purple. That's one. A Venturi ship is approaching with weapons charged. Oh, we got a hail. Response. We get occasional little blips on this. Yeah, that's also from Rathacon. How it worked in that. Rexa, how's it going? We're doing the Super Nintendo Starfleet Academy. Okay, we got all of them, and now we have a ship. There it is. Or are we picking up rocks? So I'm gonna say, I think I could probably just leave and get a decent return on the mission. But let's see what we can do against this guy. Oh, it's at 10%. Let's see what we can do against this guy, she says, and immediately explodes. Well, during the course of mission, your ship was lost, automatic failing grade. We got promoted to sophomore class anyway, so who cares? Congratulations, you've been promoted to the sophomore class. Just gotta get above, is it 75% for each year or something? Okay. Going to fly a light Yahoo. Now, Jeff. Enthusiasm is in the colon. Elliot says, you look happy. You passed, why shouldn't we celebrate? I prefer not to celebrate small victories. Tomorrow's challenge will be greater. Class act, Elliot. Love you. Correct? Next, you light cruiser. It will make the combat missions a little. I do not think we will ever find combat easy. Bots. Yep. So we passed our initial series of missions. It's a relief, a big relief. I cannot disagree. Gotta get these conversations. Purple, 3-stream watch streak, nice. And Brady, who cares? Hi sir, how's it going? Can't believe it passed that series, maybe I was worrying too much. Good stuff. Simulates... Grimmett says, maybe this game simulates awkward academy life a little too well. Yeah, I think maybe. Okay, and sleep. So now we are sophomores. So 5 missions. Okay. Yeah, cumulative GPA 80. Fine. Current GPA is what determines whether or not we pass a year. The Meneth test is a test of character. It forces you to make a critical decision in a crisis. Sometimes you can't do everything you want to do. Sometimes you have to be content with little victories instead of big ones. Those who survive will certainly thank you. Class dismissed. I love that the classes at Starfleet Academy are 20. And there's our new ship, the Miranda. I think it's also supposed to be a science ship or something, but they're calling it a light cruiser. For this simulation, you will be flying the Excalibur, which is the light cruiser. We have an emergency. The primary star in the Meneth system, a binary star system, is going to go nova in 13 hours. I hate those short notice novas. Nove? That Urquan realized the last class could be failed and made. Yeah, that's right. Look, if I get high enough score, then who cares? This will, of course, cause the secondary star to also go nova. Your orders are to go to the system, do what you can to evacuate the inhabitants. Get moving. Get those reach-around novae. How many inhabitants are there in the Meneth system? Approximately 40,000. How many people can the Excalibur hold? Approximately 1,000. What if we can't rescue everyone? Who has priority? That decision is left to your discretion. Starfleet, we do it by feels. We're gonna need a bigger ship. Yeah? Less than 6 hours to Prime expansion. So, let me do a quick save here. And I will do a little save scumming while they're in the beginning of the year. I have 4 messages coming in, audio only. I am Governor Haskem of Meneth 2. Last week, my wife gave birth to our only child. Now we learn that our child and everyone else here have only hours left. Save her captain, await evacuation. I am Dr. Mondu, Chief of Meneth Station. Captain, we have some of the most brilliant minds in history. We've cured diseases on 100 worlds. You can't let this Nova wipe us out. Save us, Captain. I am MTAT, of the Naval of Meneth 3. This colony is all that remains of our once great race. We are the proudest of people, and now I beg for our lives. Save our race, Captain. I am Amos Grant of the Free Merchant Freighter Volt. We're carrying the Prince of the Bayons back to his home when we were stranded here. If he doesn't return home, his race will go to war. Billions of lives are at stake. Oh, the profanity filter is just on your end. I see it all. We only have time to save one of them, Captain. Yeah, the merchant freighter is busted. So. Oh, your internal profanity filter. Okay. Yeah, the freighter is busted and can't go to warp. Thing about them going to war, who knows? That's something you say. Let's go save a dying culture. Captain, according to my calculations, the primary star will go nova in approximately 6 hours. Stellar radiation. We are transporting the Naval's population onto the Excalibur. It has been 6 hours since we began transporting. We have finished transporting 1,000 citizens. Excalibur. Star's core is very unstable. We can get to minimum safe distance. Can do. Warped right into that planet. And the star exploded. It destroyed everything in the sector. Great. Okay. We're done. That's a hard mission, huh? You did what you could do and didn't try to do more than was possible. Every captain has to know his or her limit. You are dismissed. I mean, unless we could, I don't know, modify the simulator somehow to make a different solution possible. How are you feeling, Captain? A little overwhelmed? We're always overwhelmed. You should try something else for a change. These are... Everyone would call us a scoundrel. Yeah, but they already will. I'm not into talking with you. I'd like to help if I can. Not a problem. I just don't feel like talking. Nope. The last mission was fascinating. A test of character. Glad you think so. Nothing defines a culture more than its talent. Suppose we've learned about life-saving disease. I don't think you are you for something like that. That's the sort of mission that makes me glad I'm not trying for command. You should do what you're good at, Robin. But if you ever feel like stretching yourself, go for it. I get enough stretching when I crawl out of bed. Robin, I swear to God, I want to beat the crap out of you. Okay. Try this. What is it? They call it Arcturian Fizz. Trust me, you like it? Great. Space soda. And the bed. We'll pause here for a bit so you can write down the password. Okay. Back to class. 80. Alright. The key to combat in a light cruiser is not to overestimate your firepower. A light cruiser is no match for multiple targets or an enemy heavy crew. Use speed and strafing tactics. Hey, Curcula, if you are overmatched, you should retreat. Less more lives will be lost by retreating than by remaining in. Interesting lesson. Go to. Several freighters on the Mirage Passage have been mysteriously destroyed. You are ordered to travel to the Mirage sector and escort the freighter Nicholas Alka. How were the other ships destroyed? In each case, their warp engine. There was no sign of external attack. Sensors indicated no signs of transporter activity, no evidence. Are there any ideas on what is causing the warp engines to overload? Only speculation at this point. One possibility is a subspace phenomenon, causing destabilization of course, it could be some kind of new weapon. If this is the case, we'll have to investigate further. Thanks. I do. How's it going? Guys, 3D graphics on the Super Nintendo before they had the FX chip. The Nicholas is ready for escort, Captain. Will follow us through warp to Alka. Okay. Yeah, this is SNES. Yeah, the box in the upper left. We're entering the Alka sector. What sensors? Nothing. Okay. Those reports, no problems. Yeah, that's the game box right up there. There's another Starfleet Academy I have on the wheel that's for the PC, and that has actual actors in it. Oh, and then it exploded. Gosh darn. Our sensors recorded a subspace signal that struck the freighter moments before her destruction. The signal originated in sector 015-021. Yeah, like the first-person part of Jurassic Park, except that was just the walls in that were actual kind of 3D, but the dinosaurs were sprites. This tries to actually model the ships. I'm gonna save here. I have a feeling something's about to happen. Yeah, I've picked up a large object in this sector. I suggest switching to... Yeah, Jurassic Park on Genesis was a pretty different... Klingon Bird of Prey decloaking. I should have been at yellow. And they don't. Okay. Yeah, I think that Genesis Jurassic Park is an entirely different thing. Have found the hidden Klingon base. Now remember, while it's cloaked, its shields are down. Or while it's entering or exiting cloak. So if we can hit it then, we can do some real damage. But this is as zoomed in as my radar gets. Second bird of prey on high-speed approach. I think that means it's time to skedaddle. You must return to Starbase. And the neutral zone is here. I guess that's the Klingon. Yeah, 95%. I'm good. Found the Klingon base. Congratulations. You were penalized because you used certain ship systems near a starbase. Never call a red alert, use tractor beams, or use weapons near a starbase without a good reason. So I lost 5% because I warped in to the starbase, still on red alert. You were dismissed. That's fine, whatever. What do we got? I'm bored. I want a heavy cruiser, says our man Colin. Not the light cruiser, Jeff. Yeah, but I always like the top of the line. So, are you satisfied with your progress? Or surviving? My father believed that survival was enough. I disagreed. Your father? A very forgettable man. I would rather not talk about him. Is his name a reference to somebody? Alright, yeah, Colin's already done with being a sophomore. Whose music do you prefer, Melbach or Garada? Garada, it was always remarkable that a Tellarite could touch melodies. Observation. Good. I like it because composer is one of those. Yeah, I think you're getting used to the light crew. I can't wait until we get to fly Constitution class. We are also done with being a sophomore. Brady? Hi, sir. Hi, Robin. I hope everything is going okay. These aren't any recent disasters. There aren't any recent disasters, I guess we're... That kid. Jones says, I heard you didn't like my latest fruit punch. It was... interesting. We can skip this, I think, but I'm not gonna. We're gonna read them every time. Immersion, that's right. The importance of teamwork cannot be overstated. A brilliant officer who cannot work with his mates is a liability, not an asset. Personality conflicts must be set aside for the common good. 203. Venturi renegades have attacked several sectors of Federation space. Your mission: to patrol the Zeta, Lambda, and Mu sectors. Travel to the Federation colony in each sector. When your presence is confirmed, proceed to the next sector. Finally, return to Starbase 9. So, Grimmeth saying personality conflicts, none of those on the popular Star Trek vessels. So, actually, for Star Trek and Next Gen, there were explicit directions from Roddenberry to not have personality conflicts among the major crew. And this was actually complained about a lot by the writing staff. In original series, there was a fair bit of conflict with Spock being a dirty Vulcan, but they stuck to it pretty hard in Next Gen. And so they kind of did their best with the stuff where nobody's really at each other's throats. I think the most that was going on, besides Riker being specified to have previously led a successful mutant, was also Riker being an Imzadi of Counselor Troy, so they could telepathically talk to each other in the pilot, and then apparently never again. But they had some prior romantic move. And then later everybody started fucking. How many Venturi are in the area? We believe there are 3 bands of renegades. Should we search for the Venturi base? We could search for months and never find it. Stay with the patrol. If attacked by Venturi craft, can you engage them? Defend yourselves if attacked. You can negotiate with them. interesting thing for them to add. Okay. So we go here and approach. I am hearing fire. Nothing unusual, just freighter requests this. Yeah, okay. Go. Still can't. Shoot. Come on. Gotta land these hits. How many do we have? Raider is safe. Hull is at 50%. Hull is at 25%. Perhaps we should send a distress signal. Okay, alright, man. Is this tougher? Because we were able to kill a few of these with the Oberth, and the Oberth was a piece of crap. I am getting the worst shots here. Okay. What do you think? Should I ram him? Hercula, thank you for your input. They have been rammed and died. Yeah, get the. Is there another? All at 50%. Okay, knock down their on. Chance? Ooh, Venturi Captain is responding. Leave the sector now or else. Okay, now we have 3 answers here. What will you do if we refuse? No, we demand that you surrender to us. I don't think so. What do we think? think we probably want to do A. That seems the most middle of the road answer, but stop talking, sir. Alright, then he dies. And for what it's worth, after seeing the Venturi, I think the only thing. Okay. Got him. Alright. And the colony acknowledged us, so we can head to the next. Hey, check it out. Are you really prepared to listen to us, Hugh? We have, yeah, shut up again. Okay. Federation is always prepared to listen. Our clan is usually peaceful. When we are cheated, as we were by the traitors that we were attacking, we will strike back, and the Federation will help us press our claims. We will stop these attacks. We will help uncover the truth. Then let there be peace for a while. Those shots were already airborne, I think. There we good? That looks like another one. Okay, approach. Peace. No peace. Anything else we need to hail for? Planet says problem. Don't think they've acknowledged us. Look how much faster the Miranda goes. 5-8. That's that green bar on the right. On the left is the Lambda rival. Check the third. Fine. That's another. Okay. Go high-five the planet and then head out. Are those noises playing on my end? Am I playing Discord noises on the stream? Oh my god, I'm sorry. Hang on. Let me get that. Why does that happen? 1 second. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I thought I had closed Discord on the computer I'm running the stuff on. It was still going. I am very sorry. Okay. Yeah, because it's on streamer mode. It seems like it should turn off. Just makes everybody's names abbreviations. I think that's it. We got close enough to the plane. Yeah. At home. SNES doing its best. Mission accomplished. Nice. TM Trek. I'm really sorry, Kais. I am still learning the street stuff. During the mission, you found a peaceful solution. Well done. That's what we like to see at Starfleet Academy. You're dismissed. Check in with the team. Poland, there were a lot of unhappy Venturi cruisers in that last mission. At least we didn't deal with all of them. Elliot's still angry. The Venturi are unpleasant to deal with. Gosh, Ken, all races have their good and bad points. An interesting sentence. I suspect that as our ability increases, so will the number of encounter. Yeah, Sturek, that is very true. Yeah. There were a lot of potentially hostile ships in the last mission. I think we can expect a lot more before we graduate. And the loser, I'm sorry for not being more help in the last mission. You did fine. Have some orange root water on the house, too busy to talk. Good stuff. Okay. Alright. On to the next day. Starfleet's relationship with the citizens of the Federation can be a source of controversy. I know it's not always easy to wear that uniform to represent the Federation. That good example. Go for. This is a simple mission. Go to the planet Newton 2, deliver Dr. Hungy, prominent astrophysicist, to the Hawking Conference, then return to Starbase 7. Got a solid 4 commas in it. Has there been any trouble in the Newton system? Everything has been quiet there. Anyone threaten the conference? No one has threatened the conference. Sounds too... Perhaps it is. Perhaps it isn't. We'll find out. Deep. Alright, here we go. We had to pick him up from here, right? Good. Did I make that up? Did my brain forget exactly what we're doing, even though it's such a... Okay, I guess we didn't have to come. Like there is shooting happening. Venturi captain is answering our hail, sir. We will destroy the freighter and the garbage that is aboard it. Stand aside. Venturi, Starfleet cannot stand aside and permit this action. Withdraw once. We have cut communications, sir. Okay. Well, Sorry, buddy. Look, we really tried. Press call from the... Yeah. And who's on the freighter? It's our pal, Harry Mudd. Blast it, where's Kirk when you need him? I'm under attack from Venturi ruffians. Villains, somebody help me. I love that they have Harry Mudd in the simulator at the Academy. Everybody just loves him. Oh! Yeah, sorry, I'll tell him. The Venturi are now attacking us. We're open to a hail now. Oh, okay. Sipping gippers on a beach. Doing a 2D fight here. Okay. You were very, very badly hurt. Will you answer hail? No? Alright, pal. I'm sorry. We did our best. Yeah. I loved that they cast Rainn Wilson for him. That was perfect. Signal from the freighter? This is Harcourt Fenton Mudd of the independent freighter Stella. It's about time you saved me. Now, if you would graciously tow my ship to Malkra, I'd be quite grateful. And very wealthy, I might add. What business did you have with the Venturi? Communications damaged. Cannot respond. Thank you for agreeing. Tow me. Okay. Oh, we'll go yellow. Yeah, he's not responding to further hails. Yeah, Grimmith and I were making Urquan jokes earlier, but that was one of the 6 options you could choose for the character's name. So she is Helen Urquan. Okay, independent freighter is in tow. Connecting a Venturi ship on an intercept course. Guys, Venturi captain will speak to us. Mudd stole sacred Venturi artifacts from our world. Return the artifacts and him to us at once, and we will let you live. So we can say, yeah, we can say, you can have the artifacts, but we keep the dude, or... I'm gonna say we probably can't turn over a citizen for extrajudicial action. Very well, we will seek justice. Venturi ship is leaving. Yeah, I wanted to say this was 93, 94. And then Urquan Masters was 92? So it very well could have been a reference to that. Okay, are we close enough? Can I... He is now capable of talking. Thank you for your assistance. You have earned the eternal gratitude of Harry Mudd. I'll never forget how you heroically, single-handedly overwhelmed. Okay. Is on. Yeah. Great. And did we... Thanks, man. We deposit the scientist at New... Yeah, it very much would have been fresh at the time. I would guess it is a reference. And the scientist has been transported, so we're good to go. %. Hey, we're doing pretty well, huh? Even under military and diplomatic pressure, you succeeded in... Well done. Ready for some more illuminating cadet conversation. That Mud was quite an operator, wasn't he? Way of looking at it. Guys like Mud really make it. Why? They don't care about anything except profit. Just like my coat. I'd rather not mention. I shouldn't have. There are times when I find myself puzzled by human. Mud is an example of the best of human. Actually, I thought that Mr. Mud showed a refreshing amount of self-honesty. Self-honesty is distinct from other honesty. I understand that Mr. Mudd is an actual Federation citizen. Yes, I heard something about him allowing his case history to be used in Academy simulations as part of his rehabilitation. He's human, isn't he? Not Andorian, I hope. Every species has its share of merit. Brady. Healing religious artifacts is really low. Fortunately, even Starfleet has to deal with criminals. So you did a Mud simulation? Yeah, ever met the guy? No, but Jim Kirk has. I understand he'll be visiting the Academy near... Hey, 98. Simulations often have hidden goals. Always explore all the possibilities. Dream cut? Yeah, it looks okay here. Yeah, sorry, Chef. Yeah, no, that's okay. Thanks for telling me, though. I appreciate getting updates. Simulations often have hidden goals, always explore all the possibilities thoroughly. That's it, huh? Yeah, that's a good lesson. Open your eyes. Rule 5, last one of the sophomore year. Have encountered the Koth, an alien race. They wish to meet with the Federation ambassador. We'll transport the ambassador to the Janus. The Romulans have also encountered the Koth and are sending their own ambassador to the... So be careful. How should we handle the Koth? We will not deal with the Koth. The ambassador is to handle all contact. What can we expect from the Romulans? Romulans might be harmless, or they could cause a lot of trouble. Don't drop your guard, but don't act without provocation. Tough. Okay. Okay. Romulan neutral zone right there. Wow, and it's right on the board. Couldn't you? Message from the Koth. Meeting has been changed to the Galta sector. This is Ambassador Fox. Set course for Galta, Captain. That's an order. Koth ship sector. Could not hurt to sector. The Koth say they await. I mean, the ships are here. Check this out before we go over to the other sector. Remember, we're expecting surprises. The Koth and the Romulans best camp. Caster has beamed over. Mission accomplished. Good, good. We did it by ignoring that one message that told us to go to Galta. Is that it? Am I done? Accomplished? Great. Okay. You delivered the ambassador to the destination point. Succeeded in accomplishing the mission, even though there were those trying to stop you. Well done. Really follow orders from a Federation ambassador, but in this case, you followed your instinct and avoided a Romulan trap. Well, you're dismissed. Congratulations, you have been promoted to the junior class. Folks, we are halfway through the game. We are 2 hours into the stream. The other missions are harder, though, so it's not just a 4-hour game. Colin? So, you ready to command a heavy cruiser? Yeah, already. That's right. It's only a simulation. And we might be going a little faster through it, partially because I played this before 50 or 60 years ago, and also because we're adults. Some of this stuff is a little clear to us. But it's a simulation of the best ships in Starfleet, except for those Excelsior-class ships of... I suppose you're as pleased as everyone else that we're moving to a larger ship. It's going to be a greater challenge. That as weak become strong is always the greatest challenge. Yeah, plus emulation fast-forward occasionally. Correct? I was thinking about today's mission. It must be difficult for humans to curb their emotions for greater good. Right, it isn't easy, but people don't become Starfleet captains. I dislike criticism of my fellow cadets, but Elite's attitude annoys me. Not everyone is sociable about it. Be patient with it. It might surprise you. 10 years they get married. Is it cutting in and out? I'm sorry. Okay. Here, hang on. See if this helps. And we'll check with the loser. I hear we're getting a heavy cruiser on our next mission. Yes. I hope we don't destroy it. Thanks, bro. Love you. Hi, how's it going? Not bad. Watch your back, cadet. It's practical joke season. And maybe I also just need to speak up. I'll do my best. Password? Yeah, make it do the work. Okay. Junior year. We could drop out with an associate's degree. The art of combat is the art of threat analysis. As Sun Tzu said long ago, know your enemy and know yourself, and 1,000 victories will be yours. 301. Welcome, cadets. Welcome, cadets, to Junior Year Simulator Training and your first mission on our Constitution-class Starship Simulator. Now to your mission. We have a crisis on the Romulan border. A new Romulan ship, the Phoenix. Remember that Romulans paint flaming birds on their ships. Has been testing our defenses. Your orders are to patrol our outposts and repel the ship if it is encountered. Again, we get the Constitution class, actual Enterprise. He did not tell us what this ship is named, So we'll figure it out for ourselves. What do we know about this ship? We received intelligence reports on it, but it's never been used in Federation space. We know very little. Has any other ship encountered the Phoenix? Not to our knowledge. That's right, the Romulans are plagiarizing Zephyr Cochrane. It's like an old Cold War intelligence thing where you just give stuff random names that you stole from other stuff to, yeah. Start with one. Sensors indicate Outpost 1 is destroyed. Ooh, okay. Good thing we're at yellow alert. It appears the outpost was destroyed by Romulan plasma torpedoes. NATO really cooked with some of those reporting names, says Purple Comrade Purple Phoenix. I think you gotta relay some now. An ICBM named Satan? Accurate. Yeah, I think that goes pretty hard. Okay, let's see two. Entering Outpost 2. Also destroyed. Does this remind you of anything? Perhaps an episode? Also Romulan plasma torpedoes. Okay. 3. And what is that? 3 has been destroyed. Romulan cruiser on intercept course. Fail. He's even wearing the outfit. Ah, love it. Okay. Romulan captain on screen. This is the captain of the USS Excalibur. Surrender or we will attack you. The funniest thing also, they didn't color the outfit correctly. Go watch the original episode. Okay, he did not surrender when I said surrender. Let's just kill him. Oh, that's right, they invented the cloaking device. Come on. He shows up on the radar sometimes. And firing the plasma torpedoes. Remember from the original series, Romulan plasma torpedoes are serious and will follow you through warp. Funny thing in the original series also, they comment that the first Earth-Romulan war was fought without warp drive, so at slower than light speeds. This has been basically redacted by other materials. We clearly have warp drive in Star Trek Enterprise. They also made a mistake in Star Trek Enterprise in that the first episode where they see the Romulans, their ship cloaks, and it's like, oh no, that's supposed to be a new thing in that next gen or that original series episode, and they just weren't aware of it. The people running Star Trek Enterprise weren't very good at their jobs. Herman and Braga, who also did a very effective job of making sure there were no queer characters on the show. They said there was going to be one, and eventually they just made him British. Come on, buddy. I'm also betting that telling him to surrender was the wrong thing to do. Manny Kodo absolutely should have been the runner from the beginning. Season 3 was better, Season 4 was great. Was actually like original series fun stuff. They could have been burned out, but they're also just, I'm sorry, they kind of sucked. Berman and Braga, you go ahead and watch that episode of Voyager where where they talk about how sexual harassment complaints are fake. There's just an episode that's about that, and about how making sexual harassment complaints hurts people. Yeah, it's... Buddy... We're barely doing anything to each other here. Come on out. Hercula, are you familiar with that episode? It is atrocious. Here I am, firing my green phasers. Ooh, okay. Got his hull down to red. Might have also busted his cloaking device. Yeah, he's not cloaking anymore. Got him. Look. Loxana Troy. Major Barrett. Raise your hand if you'd be down for that. Got him. Hand down yellow alert. Oh, Curcula. Yeah. Everybody's okay here? Nope, this one is also destroyed. We're okay. How's Clark Colony doing? Good? You guys okay? Okay. I'm gonna go back to base and let's watch this become the wrong thing to do. Nope, wrong one. Okay. You don't... The character she plays? Come on. Sleeping with somebody telepathic. Yeah? Okay, Kurkula. I know. Yeah, she does shit. Yeah. Yeah. Mission accomplished. You agreed. You angered the one Romulan that could give you a lead on the Phoenix. You misinterpreted the situation. You are dismissed. We're at the beginning of the year, so I will scum this one. Just to make sure we get in a good place by the end of the year and don't have to repeat everything. Destroyed. Okay. Yeah, telling him to surrender immediately, probably not the correct way to go. Also destroyed. And that guy too. Yep. Also destroyed, and a Romulan cruiser on intercept course. It's stated that it's kind of hostile. Hail? I still love the miscolored uniform. Okay. And B reads like it's a Jim Kirk line. So, this is the captain of the USS Excalibur. What's going on? I want answers! Our Phoenix prototype was stolen by renegades who are trying to destroy our relations with the Federation. We came to assist you in dealing with them. We believe they plan to attack a Federation colony. We insist you leave Federation space immediately. Romulan is cloaking. Something happening at a colony, huh? Let's go check that out. Sometimes I leave the bar up. That the Phoenix weapon systems are fully powered up. Yeah, so that is the Phoenix. Hail. The Romulans say you're terrorists. Who are you? We asked for the Federation's help against Romulan oppression, and you turned your backs on us. You're as bad as they are. Message ends. They're attacking. Okay, well. You're fighting oppression by targeting somebody else. Something politics, something. My joke with there was that you can use that statement for whatever political purpose you want. This is Federation law? Come on. Get over here. And this was maybe one of the weak parts of the game, is that a lot of the time, your combat is this. there a smarter way to do this? The Picard maneuver. I can't warp inside of a sector, so I don't think I can do that. Come on. You're killing me here. Okay. Alright, I'm slowing down just a little and hopefully I can get some attacks in. Or they can get some attacks in. Whatever, it's all good. Come on. As long as someone is attacking. As long as the combat is ending eventually. Okay, we took a plasma torpedo to the face. That might have been bad. Where are you, buddy? Come on. That was a hit. Overshot. Come on. Okay, that was good. Did we get the cloaking device? I think we might have. Oh, come on. Yellow. Ah, shoot. Okay. We can get this. There's a funny thing with the Romulans where they get into Next Gen and they all have the same hairstyle, a slightly different version of the Vulcan hairstyle. If you look at the original series, that's not really true, especially when they visit the one Romulan captain in the episode Enterprise Incident. And she has this just long hair, just kind of... And they get into Next Gen and they said, no, we can't do that anymore. They're basically Vulcans. But then they also gave them a forehead ridge, because that's what aliens have. Make them look evil. Maybe a cultural fad. It's funny that it's not commented on, because in an early Next Gen episode, supposedly they have the first time they've seen Romulans in some years. And they have the haircuts. Why did that not hit? Super Nintendo 3D, let me tell you. Oh, no! I took that plasma torpedo. Okay, alright. Get back in there. Starfleet said it'd be rude. And it could be a state-mandated thing, like, yeah. Who knows? The first episode you see Romulans in Next Gen also has it where the view screen shows two commanders sitting next to each other, like it's Sparta or something. That never happens again. So now I just need a lucky hit to disable the cloaking device so that we can do a real fight here. Come on, you're out here. You know, folks, we have 12 other Star Trek games. Just a reminder. I will ram you. No, this is a Wonderful Academy sim. Yeah, okay. I gotta avoid those plasma torpedo. But he's at yellow hole. We're doing pretty good. And he didn't fire a plasma torpedo on that attack run. We can only do them every once in a while. Unless we actually damage the launcher. Come on. This stupid thin little ship. Oh, shoot! Ah. Perhaps we should send a distress signal. Thanks, man. How's the hull doing? Awesome. Love it. Get the shields up. Let's do another. One more. You're under it once. Never. Great. Thanks. Good talking to you. We still ate that plasma torpedo, didn't we? Oh, and a second right away. Okay, so there isn't a limit to how often they can be fired, perhaps? Okay, you're killing me. The Romulans being the source of the cloaking device has also been basically what's defined how the Romulans are portrayed in all the shows. When they visit Romulus in Next Gen... Oh my god. I ate that one. It's discussed how, like, every Romulan house actually has a fake front door because no one ever actually enters through the front because that's easier to see. I thought I was gonna get him there. Come on. Grimmett, you get that haircut. If that picture on your YouTube channel, I want to say, is accurate, I'm not sure there's much you can do with it. Predictable. God, he's gonna kill me again. Yellow? Die. Die! That might be it for that mission. Maybe we'll just see if we can pass the other missions and get a passing grade. Grimmett, sorry if I'm making a joke, that's not cool. I'm just about to faint. This Muskin Seed Punch of Jones is actually very good. I'm not in a talking mood, and you might find that sharing your problems is good for you. Fine, I don't like Romulan scenarios. It brings back bad memories. There, I shared a problem. Sharing the problem is only the first step. We're good. Unlike your GPA, yeah, I know. But I'll leave the rest to you. Greetings, I trust you are well as can be expected. Since I do not know what to expect, the previous statement is meaningful. Yeah, I wonder if there really is a Romulan Phoenix. I don't know, of course we could fight World War I biplanes in a simulation. That's silly. That's actually a reference that happens in Judgment Rights. A starship fights a biplane. Hi, sir. These simulations are really interesting, aren't they? Funny note, in Star Trek, every superior officer, or whatever, is addressed as sir regardless of gender. They never say ma'am. Here, drink this. It's Muskin Seed Punch. Trust me, you'll like it. Hey, this is actually very good! There's our password. 1 second, let me turn off the heater. Yeah, Curcula, sorry. I was just explaining in a couple of places. I think it's been more or less established, although there are exceptions, that you address superior officers as sir. You never put ma'am as the kind of address there. In Starfleet, for whatever reason. Possibly because there are many genders, especially when aliens get involved. The Federation's main rivals are the Klingons and Romulans. Both races can be stubborn and have alien philosophies, but both races can be dealt with by a skilled diplomat. Current GPA 0. Good start. Okay. 302. An Excelsior prototype is going to 4 systems to get confirmation signals. Your job is to stop it. Yeah, Mr. Savick, right. It is going to the Galway, Manitoba, Hansu, and Kumasi systems. Nice little spread of human cultures there. You have a limited amount of time to defeat it. So, this is another fight. We'll see. How much time, sir? Enough time for a capable starship captain. Thanks, buddy. Sir, I thought the Excelsior was supposed to be too tough for a Constitution-class ship. The Excelsior is equipped with increased firepower and sensory ability. You can beat it, you'll have serious bragging right. No problem, sir. Unless the commander of the Excelsior is not doing his job correctly, you are mistaken. So what's with the Excelsior doing the scans? I thought that was a Fed starship. They said it's like an exercise. I guess they don't explicitly say exercise, but that's my take. Yeah, it turns out it's all a simulation. Let's keep these saves over here in case I really do need to go back. Although I think it lets you repeat a year. And there's passwords, and I can just look up the damn passwords. I'm not above just... Yeah. Okay. Excelsior. Mossy. Manitoba. Hansu. Galway. Guess we'll start with the near. Yeah, this was the SNES, and they just didn't bother to put in a battery for the cartridge, so... Makes it more expensive. Sensors indicate that the Excelsior was here very recently, but she is not here now. Cool. Very recently, but not here now. Okay, are we behind them? All these star maps. Okay. Picking up signs that indicate that the Excelsior warped in, but never warped out. If you... Yeah, right. Was it, Roger Clemens' MVP Baseball? Where I actually tried to do a season on that game many times. And the passwords didn't work. I tried it multiple times and wrote down passwords, and when I put them in, and they were long because you're doing a baseball season, it never functioned. Good times. So it's here, and we're not seeing... Yeah, there it is, okay. No response. Shields up. Red alert. .3D graphics. Guys. 3D graphics. Go back to combat. Okay. I will ram you. Get over here. Come on. Three dimensions were a mistake. Okay, they're gone. Man, these references, I love it. I listened through the recent they did a scripted podcast about Khan's story on SETI Alpha 5. That was pretty good. I recommend it. Come on. Gotcha! Yeah. Okay, got its shields down. Man, that... Hercula, you were hitting some freaking references here. Wow. Come on. Always pointing out. Might be coming. Oh, goodness. On. Okay, okay. Just a little off. Okay. Okay, 1 second. Second. Okay, I got my beer. Let's do this. Our time is up! You've gotta be kidding me. Yeah, we weren't drinking during the Kerbal Space Program streams yet. But yeah, next week we're gonna do one... Can I just blow it up anyway? Next week we'll do one, we'll co-stream it with Lila Kakari and Phoenix Blue Zero. And yeah, we're gonna do Drunken Rocketry, we're setting up a drinking game. It'll be a blast. Literally. Come on, that was like 30 seconds. You... Oh, and I left my weapons on, and they hate when you do that by the starbase. Okay, alright. You failed to stop the Excelsior in the time allotted. That's an automatic failing grade. So, This one said 2 missions with failing grades. I think that means that the most we could get is 60%. I think that does not pass to the next year. Drinking root beer spiked with Kraken rum. So I have Kraken, and I was going to do, a junior here is not playing. Yeah, Grimmett. I agree. I like Kraken rum. I'll do Kraken rum or I'll pick a vodka I like. Or we'll just do my diet beer. Nice and curly. But no, I'm gonna do mixed drinks for that. Alright, everybody. What do you think? We're losers, huh? Do you think we're ever going to serve on an Excelsior? Let's graduate first. The Excelsior is overrated. How would you know? Give me a proven design over a prototype any day. Everyone is talking about the Excelsior. It's the future of Starfleet. It's a tool, the worth of those who manipulate the tool. Guy, this fucking guy. Okay. Commander Kwan beginning to have mild concerns about graduation, that's right. Captain Kirk will be coming to the Academy, you know? I met him once en route to the Babel conference. My father was an Andorian ambassador. There was a... Turbans. The episode, what is it, Babel 1? I don't think I have that title quite right. Everybody knows you're coming, Kirkula. Iceberg vodka. I will do, I think I prefer Stolik Naya. What do you think of the Excelsior? It's impressive. Impressive? It's the most state-of-the-art ship ever built. State-of-the-art, the people, not the tool. These people. I hear Captain Kirk has been assigned to judge one of your simulations. Gulp? Really? Have a nice day. So there's our losing password. Okay. See if we can actually succeed a mission. Yeah, current GPA 0. Okay. Starfleet is not solely a military organization. It combines defense with exploration, science, and diplomacy. So now after those 2 combat missions, now we're actually going to do some Star Trek stuff. If things go badly, you may be forced into a war, but never consider yourself to be only a soldier. Even though everything you just did was, yeah. This is a routine mission. You will go directly to the Demeter protostar and monitor unusual space-time rifts. Not get too close to the protostar. Protostar is producing space-time rifts. It is very unusual, and that is why we are sending you. Isn't Demeter near Romulan space? How many star systems are there that you just hear a name and you know? Yes, but we have no evidence of Romulan activity. How close is too close? Your science officer will inform you, yeah. Okay, let's go. Yeah, okay. Explore for more enemies, science out their defenses, and send diplomats to tell them to surrender. You guys know we're in the evil universe, right? The evil Star Trek universe, that's us. Okay, going to Demeter. Combat the anomalies. Alright. Have. There's been a distortion from the protostar. Readings are off the scale. Distortion has revealed a cloaked Romulan Phoenix-class ship in the sector. Okay. A message from the Phoenix. It claims to be off course. Where are we? We have passed through a dimensional rift. There is also a Romulan Phoenix, a Tholian, and a Gorn cruiser in the immediate vicinity. Message incoming. We are the Zai. We have brought you here to examine which of your species is the strongest. Does this remind you of an original series episode? If you're already evil, yeah, you're the evil one. You have the goatee. Your warships will fight. The last starship intact will be returned to your place of origin. Let the battle begin. We are not a warship. I've broken off communications, sir. Only the Romulan captain is responding, Captain. I'd like to help, but I am responsible for my crew. Offer me an alternative to fighting, and I will listen. I have found the Zai. They are in a containment field of great strength. Only a Romulan plasma torpedo might destroy it. We know how to beat the Zai. No one enslaves a Romulan. We will help you. Transmitting Zai coordinates. Yeah, please don't fire on us. Okay, there we go. So the Romulans are attacking that ship. That must be the Zai. They said only a Romulan plasma torpedo can destroy it, but let's pitch in. No! We are vulnerable! We must send them back before... something's happening. Got it. You're in an extremely dangerous situation, yet you found a viable solution. I'm impressed. You are dismissed. These simulations are wearing me out. I'm tired. We're not getting a break soon. Maybe if you got to bed a little earlier, you wouldn't be tired. I look for sympathy, and what do I get? I think it's called... What's on your mind? I'm curious, you mentioned that you'd met Romulans. Have you ever met Tholians? The only time I've met non-Orions was here at the Academy, or when I lived on my father's merchant ship. I don't want to talk about that time in my life. They seem to have set our host, Mr. Jones. How? I compared the taste of his latest beverage to something that engendered a strong emotional response. It's not much longer now before we graduate. It'll be a relief. It's going to be strange to not have to attend classes. Of course, we Andorians regard the universe as a classroom. So are you looking forward to the big day? Sure. When are you getting married? Married? It's only a joke, Robin. You know what that Vulcan of yours said? He compared my scented ginger water to... Don't be offended. Zurich has a gift for understatement. Yeah. Graduate. Yeah, that's what's happening. We are definitely going to graduate. Okay. When you are fighting mini opponents, you should keep moving. Make high-speed passes, concentrating on one ship at a time. The worst thing you can do is simply follow an enemy ship while 2 or 3 of its companions hit you in their sights. More combat. I know you're excited. Attention please, cadets. The next series of 6 simulator missions will focus on what-if war scenarios. Yeah, good prog rock. You will encounter Klingons, Born, and Tholians in simulated war conditions. Each of these missions is, of course, fictional. Just remember that unfortunate situations like these could happen. Starfleet must be prepared to deal with them. Now to the first mission. Have bad news. The Federation Klingon peace talks have broken down, and the Klingon Empire has declared war on the Federation. War were declared. We want you to go to 3 star systems, the Kapok, the Mudok, and the Vrung systems, and scan them for a supply depot. When you have found it, return to Starbase. How many enemies can we expect to encounter? The Klingon fleet is moving into the area. We don't know what to expect. Thought the Organians wouldn't permit war between the Federation and the... I'd like to think they'll stop it before it gets out of hand, but we can't use the Organians to fight our battles. Can we destroy the depot? That's a job for a Starfleet task force. The answer is always a helpful batch of questions. Simulator. Okay, here we go. Hail? Klingon Captain on screen, Captain. Oh yeah, look at that. And they have the next gen foreheads. Do I need to do a voice? This is Captain Craddock of the Moktan. You are an intruder in Klingon space. You shall be destroyed. Good chat. Okay. Quality eyebrow game. I will ram you. I will ram all of you. First Next Gen or Star Trek? 5? Yeah. I think you're right. And then Michael Dorn plays Worf's grandfather in Star Trek 6. Come on. Let me ram you, you coward. I hit him with a full barrage, and it's still all green. So... That's right. Attack. Can you just come at me in a one-on-one knife fight or something? There's a... I'm sorry. Experience Beige. God damn it. My family had that game. We actually played it. We put in the VHS tape and we played that game. Experience Beige. God, what a great... Yeah, okay. That's awesome. Still have the stickers. I have no idea where all that stuff is. I think it was destroyed in a flood. The best part, at the very end of that, when you lose, because you're gonna lose, probably. And he gets the ship destroyed. They have a final scene where the ship is supposed to be exploding. And it's this vertical shot. And he's looking up at the camera and yelling something. And like shaking back and forth. But they forgot to shake the camera. So it's just him wiggling in a chair. Yes, Captain K-Bach. Yeah, because he tells you he needs your enthusiastic, yeah. What a time. Folks, look up the Star Trek, what did they call that? It's a co-op board game that included a VHS tape where a Klingon who had taken charge of the Enterprise would give you commands. Look that up on YouTube. Look up some of those videos. It's great. Star Trek. Yeah, okay, that sounds right. Star Trek, the Next Generation Interactive VCR Game, a Klingon Challenge. Yosh. Got him. Okay. Two of them! I'm not sure I have a chance here. Oh, and they're cloaking. We hail? No, of course not. I forgot, I need to be scanning for the depot. Yeah, that's right. Oh my god, I forgot about that. Yes, he gives the players nicknames. And then he lets the weakest one run away. The weakest one can choose not to run away, and to then still help out with everybody, but it's funnier to run away. We found the supply depot. Okay, and then we aren't destroying it. Right? And there's... Yep. God, what time we wasted. Unlike now. Fine, you're doing cloaking again out here. Come on, where are you? Ah, buddy. Okay, got him down to yellow hole. That's better. And I think he killed the cloaking device. Come on. And there we go. So what else? Yeah, the depot is here, but we're not supposed to attack the depot ourselves, so I think we're good. Anything? Good stuff. Saving here because I'm really not sure. Oh, and I'm still red alert. Oh, that might be bad, actually. They're gonna kind of... that up. Got it. Found the supply depot. That's it. Okay, those other two ships I destroyed were just for fun. Great. That was an interesting mission. I wonder how you'd do against real Klingons. How we do. I don't want to find out. I'll bet this mission was easy compared to our next ones. They always get tougher. Telling me, Elliot. Fascinating scenario, Captain. I hope we do well on the upcoming scenarios. So do I. Unfortunately, they will just get harder. I'm afraid that you are right. Really not in the mood for conversation, sir. Stop being such a baby! Good talking to you, Robin. Have you ever seen the inside of a black hole? What are you talking about? Just trying to get you to think about something other than these scenarios. You look exhausted. Go get some... It's gonna kick the crap out of that guy. Okay, alright, to bed. We do this correctly, we get a 60 GPA for this year. Is that passing? Hey, we'll find out. Although the Federation is not at war with any of its neighbors, it should not have an apostrophe. It is always wise to consider the possibility. Not only does it prepare us for an unpleasant situation, but it also helps us to understand them better. Go 5. We have been given a break in the war with the Gorns. Have the location of 4 Gorn shipyards. If we destroy these shipyards, we may deal the Gorns a fatal blow. 7 starships are advancing on Gorn space to draw out their fleet. If everything goes well, the shipyards will not be guarded, and you will be free to destroy them. If everything doesn't go well, get home fast. Systems to target are the Talgot, Mygoth, Rog, and Garag systems. Gorn names. Do not enter any sectors where Federation ships are engaging the Gorn. Complete your objectives and return to Starbase 14 immediately. Ask some dumb questions, find out some dumb answers. Are the shipyards themselves armed in any way? Intelligence reports that the shipyards are unarmed. How long will our fleet engage the enemy? Just long enough for you to complete your mission, so time is of the essence. Oh, and there are battle sectors, and going to them we're idiots. Okay. Togat, Bygoth, Gaurag, and Rog. Response? Okay, kill whatever. You're being hailed. This is Technician Mokjan. We are not warriors. Do not fire on us. So I actually remember this from when I played this back in 1984. I had actually chosen previously to kill these guys, and that's bad. And I'm like, it's a war. They're technicians. They are valid targets. Well. Yeah, I gave this where I'm like, hey, we will capture you. That's what has to happen here. And they don't do it, and that gets us in trouble. Forgot to have my weapons up. I like, we have our orders, you're dead. Sensors indicate that all personnel on the Gorn vessel have just boarded the Gorn's escape pods. The escape pods are now leaving the area. There are no remaining signs of life on the Gorn vessel. Yeah, like, I can capture you guys. Sure, if you throw down your weapons and surrender, we're good to capture. But I can't let elements of an enemy force just run away. Destroying the enemy force is in my force's interest. But we're the Federation, so... Time is of the essence, yeah. If only we had some way to automatically move them from where they are to some secure containment. Yes. That's one. Now we're just blowing stuff up. Captain, the crew of the Gorn vessel apparently attempted to bring the ship online. The ship was not ready for that, and so it exploded. All hands were lost. Yeah, that sucks. Oh god, Curcula, I don't know if we're gonna have the conversation of whether or not transporters are actually killing and replicating people. Orange ship is fully functional. What is that one? Well, I'll try. Yeah, one working vessel. One that they tried to get working and that killed them in the attempt. Oh well. Besides that original series episode, I think they appeared in some other of the new Trek stuff, but otherwise they were just in the one CG Gorn that looked like a Tyrannosaurus that was humanoid in an episode of Star Trek Enterprise. We're about to die. Okay, I was not going fast enough. Yeah, I know, buddy. If we lose here, then we're at like 40% and there's no... Oh, that's the other... Tom Riker. Tom Riker raises a lot of questions. They played around with that some on him on Lower Decks. And it's like, okay, if it doesn't have all of a person's material, does a transporter then just get additional material to fill in the gaps? And then we get into a question about, what is it, the Athenian ship? Sulfur and raw diamond. Yeah, we'll get them. You need the bamboo and the diamond. And then the gunpowder, you need 15 parts saltpeter, 3 parts... Oh, 3 parts... It's 2 parts sulfur, and then there's 3 parts of something else. I don't remember. Damn, I'm dead. Yeah, and it is the red guy. Charcoal. 15 parts saltpeter, 3 parts charcoal, 2 parts sulfur. I'm gonna ram you. You get back here. Get rammed, idiot. That's right, that's how we do things here. Okay, what's happening at this one? Yeah, the actual battle is happening. We're shooting up shipyards. Whatever. We're the good guys. I mean, you actually do have to destroy enemy production capability to win a dang war. Okay, and that's it. I'm gonna save here just in case there's not a chance a Super Nintendo would handle that many ships. Yeah. Successful in destroying all 4 shipyards. Job well done. We're dismissed. Yeah, they take some points if you end up killing the technicians. It handles SNES Star Fox. Not only is a frame rate low, but the cartridge, I think, has additional hardware in it. It has the Super FX chip that helps it handle 3D stuff. That's my recollection. Okay, due to your low test scores, you must repeat the junior year. So, I wasn't sure I was remembering this correctly, but this happened to me a bunch also when I was playing this as a kid. This means that you need to win one of those first 2 missions. I tried over and over. I could not beat the Romulan Phoenix. I eventually was able to beat the Excelsior in the time limit, and then I did through this, and I got to the senior year that way. Yeah, 60 is not good enough. So if you fail 2 missions, you should probably just quit. But yeah, they do a repeat, so now you do the same missions over again. Yeah. I think I am a poor amateur streamer who still has a dang job. So I need to get to bed so I can get to work in the morning. And I think I'm going to call it for tonight. I am probably just going to look up passwords for this thing.